Hi, I'm Michael Apple for BizNews.com. Questions being asked of the multi-party coalition government in the city of Johannesburg recently as the DA's Speaker, Vasco da Gama, was booted from office in a motion of no confidence brought by the ANC and EFF. That motion, which shouldn't have succeeded, it didn't have the numbers if you do the maths logically, ultimately succeeded with a little help from council members within the coalition agreement itself. One of those members who voted with the opposition parties in the council is COPE Councillor Colleen Makhubele. Thank you so much for your time, Councillor.
Thank you, Michael, and I greet all the listeners.
You voted against your coalition partner. Why?
First, let me just correct something that you said. The motion was not brought by ANC or EFF. It was brought by the PAC. It was a minority motion. There's about 20 minority parties in council, and we came together. We agreed that we needed to do this, and we lobbied everybody, including the Action SA and every other party, and ANC and EFF agreed to vote with us, and we succeeded. Second to your question, this is not the first time we didn't vote with the coalition. We have voted before, against the coalition, even abstained in council, but it didn't matter because we're only, 5-6 hands, and we're told that, smaller parties, 5-6 hands doesn't matter, they pass it through. But the day it mattered, when they needed those 5-6 hands to be with them, and they started to go into the media, etc., because they didn't foresee that one day those 6 hands could actually mean a lot to them. They forgot that even just to get into power, to get the mayor into power, to get their MMCs and chairpersons into power, they needed these 5-6 hands. And out of frustration of not being heard, not being taken seriously, the arrogance of the DA, really being bullied, and our opinions, our voices don't matter. And that's how we decided that the speaker needs to be removed, because it's just a center of oversight and holding the executives accountable, which is not happening.
What are the allegations against the now former speaker? That he was burying certain reports involving allegations of corruption, is that correct?
Yeah, number one, I think just the impartiality, it was not there because he couldn't separate himself from being a DA, and he also could not separate himself with the mayor. There was no separation of powers, which is one of the constitutional principles, that there has to be separation of power. Legislature must be able to hold the executive to account when there are service delivery failures, when there are things like that, maladministration, fraud, is concealing reports. Let me tell you, even the motion of no confidence of the speaker should have served on the 31st of August if he didn't hide it. And now it's coming out, legal has shown us the papers to say it was all compliant, it was given to the speaker, but he hid that from council. And there's many other things that he has hidden to protect the DA. And we are saying when you sit as a councillor, I'm from the Congress of the People, but once I enter the chambers, I am a councillor. I'm responsible first and foremost to the residents of the city of Johannesburg, and also to the constitution of the land, constitution of my party. Last, really, you put on your T-shirt. So he could not separate those things. The decorum of the house had collapsed. You would see with all the outbursts in council, because he would suppress, especially the minorities. We're not given a voice, you couldn't accommodate our debates and our and all our needs in council. And so we just felt that he's not the right person to occupy that seat.
What does the coalition agreement say? COPE is part of this 9-party, multi-party government. What does it say when it comes to voting in motions of no confidence? And you'll forgive my ignorance on this. Does it actually say that you must vote along party lines? Because you've said publicly that you voted with your conscience. Is that different to the party line?
Yes, the coalition agreement, it clearly states that you will vote as a bloc. Of course, as long as, remember, it's 9 different parties who have 9 different manifestos and different ideologies. If you do not agree with the position of whatever the multi-party coalition is advancing, you are free not to vote with the coalition, you just inform them. And that has been the norm. It is not a unique thing that has happened, as I indicated before. It's just that this time it has hurt the DA, and now they feel the pain of really not involving in power sharing, in joint decision making, the smaller parties that are assisting them to be in power. Because this coalition stopped being about a common vision of service to the citizen, but it became about power and positions and really being dominant and bullying your way through. And what we started as, around the table to negotiate and discuss decisions, make decisions together, fell through. And we have actually in our multi-party agreement a structure, we call it the JC, the Joint Caucus Management in the City of Johannesburg. That structure was rendered null and void because if we disagree here, we'll just get instructed from DA, from Cape Town, and they use our national leaders to give us instruction how to vote. And it cannot be that way because the national leaders that sit somewhere, they are not in the city of Johannesburg. They do not understand the pulse and the heartbeat of the residents and the needs of Joburg. And they didn't even take the time, even after this motion of no confidence on Dagama, to just sit with those 5-6 councillors to say, please, let us understand what are your frustrations, what has happened, so that we prevent this from happening in future. And post that motion passing, it was just instructions, fire them, they are unethical, they took bribes, etc. I mean, they just aggravated the situation, which could have been resolved. And even before that, we've raised multiple of these issues in our joint coalition, but nobody was listening. And now they're all crying foul, betrayal, etc. It's not true.
Speaking about those allegations of money exchanging hands, BizNews spoke to Bongani Nkomo, the deputy caucus leader of the DA. They went and laid criminal charges at the police station for the police to investigate about money exchanging hands, offers made to certain councillors. Do you know anything about that?
To be honest with you, Mike, I saw them in the media making a hoo-ha as a city. And those are public documents. You should not even be asking me. You should be able to access them at the police station. If truly there are those allegations, can we have them and the evidence? But what is becoming clear for me, and I'll say it categorically, I'm not bribed. I was not bribed. And even when on the 1st of November we're sworn in, my party, with my party leaders, were with the ANC coalition at the time. I nominated the late Councillor Mwerani to be the mayor of the city of Joburg. I was not bribed. And when my party changed to join the multi-party coalition, then I voted with the multi-party coalition. Money never exchanged hands. But what worries me now with the behavior of some of the party leaders that we see is that perhaps they are themselves who are bribed by the DA to really fire their councillor, because it doesn't make sense that a party leader who believes in the constitution of the land, the founding, a legal document of the land, even their constitution of their own parties, they are now violating them to satisfy an instruction for the DA. Because Vasco da Gama's vote really does nothing for my party, for my constituency. And that's where I get my mandate. And there's no reason my party must fire me for that, unless indeed one of my party leaders may be involved in some exchange of whatever it is that they're exchanging. That's why he's under pressure to make sure that I'm removed from council. And other councillors, ACDP, even UIM, are under pressure. They're getting instruction to remove their councillors. And I'm very proud of my president, Tate Likota, and who says to me, I have fought my whole life for the constitution of this land. I gave my whole life. I served in Robben Island, even with Nelson Mandela, who said, never again must this land suffer under oppression. We cannot be suppressed. As long as you are upholding the constitution, you are upholding your oath of office, and you are in line talking to your regional structure because you report to the region, I am happy with your work. I don't see anything wrong. You are not there. We are not a coalition desperate party. You are not there to advance the political needs, economic needs of DA and Action SA or Freedom Front. You are there to serve the residents of the country. And I applaud that. Even ATM has taken that stance. UDM has taken that stance. Other parties, we don't understand really where in law they are relying on to fire their councillors because somebody in Cape Town says do that. It's just totally unconstitutional.
What is your political background? Were you previously a member of the ANC before joining COPE?
Yes, I was for years, when I was young. And then I left politics, I think for almost 10 years. I've been in business. I was not a member of any political party until I was approached by the Congress of the People when I was the chairperson of one of the entities there. And, we understood that they are looking for a fresh start, reset the party, get fresh young leaders, competent and people that really can take the party forward, who can think, educated, who can really, serve the nation. And they like my profile. They've been following me, what I'm doing. And I found the fit was there. And when I met the party leaders, we also then connected. And that's how I joined COPE.
I'm not going to insult your intelligence, Ms. Makhubele. You know that by the actions of what you're doing, that the ANC would ultimately come back into power. Some people would say you're a COPE member with ANC clothing underneath. How would you respond to something like that?
My response to you is this. Almost all the members of any other party that you see, especially black people, have been ANC members, including my party leaders. They all come from the ANC. So I don't apologize for that. That is the party that we were trained into, the party that we had until issues ensured and we left the party. And we've always made it clear to say, we don't want an ANC-led, we don't want a DA-led, we don't want an EFF-led, because we're minorities. Yes, we have to work with other parties to form a government. If the ANC comes today and put an agreement that serves the needs of COPE and the people that voted for me in COPE, and I see that it will assist the mandate that I have from my regional structures for COPE, and my regional structures agree with that, I will not hesitate to vote with the ANC. Because at this stage, I don't see the difference between DA and ANC. When you talk corruption, maladministration, and fraudulent stuff that's happening, refusing to account, partisanship, etc. For me, it's one and the same thing. And the need and the desperate need to hang on to power, forget all moral values and principles, get people fired for voting the way they voted. I'm looking at that to say this is an unconstitutional party. They are going against everything in the constitution of the land and in the constitution of other parties. They are really wanting to be dictators, exercising their dominance and supremacy over other parties. And it's not correct. In a coalition, we maintain our independence. We negotiate and agree how we want to work, and we make decisions collectively. Whether I'm a one-seater or a 70-seater, you have seen a one-seater can remove a 70-seater because nobody won elections. We've all lost. It just depends on how much margin you've lost by. Nobody won elections. So the sooner we come down, be sober, and realize that we have to work like equal parties together, the better for everybody.
The High Court in Johannesburg issuing judgment. I've heard in the media that you welcomed the judgment. It went against you. Just your reaction to that judgment, how did you see the ruling?
Look, for me, and truly, honestly, it brought clarity because there was a lot of opinions that were flying around on, am I the acting speaker, am I not? Because previously, when the speaker is not there, I would automatically assume that role. And that is what, even when Dagama was removed on the day, I was automatically called to resume and finish the business of the day. But then I was not aware that my responsibility, because now the position is truly vacant, there is no speaker. It stops that time, unlike when he was absent for like 2 weeks, I could, run as a speaker. Even I ran the State of the City address. There was no problem. By virtue of that, everybody really thought that I'm the acting speaker. Of course, politics, and I'll come back to the politics, but from the DA, they were the first ones to send me legal letters to stop, but I couldn't stop because the legal advice that I got was that you are the acting speaker by these rules of council that we're looking at, and if you do not do what you're supposed to do, you may be derelict of your duty. Somebody can bring an action against you because the rules clearly say that after the removal or the speaker position becomes vacant, within 14 days, you must call a council meeting to elect a speaker. We are on day number 13 now, and I'm glad that I acted, and the court had to come in and correct me. That's why I welcome it, because I didn't appoint myself. I didn't I can't come into your house and claim to be the chairperson or the mother in your house. No, I was empowered by what I understood as the rules. The judge looked at all the possible legislation, structures, acts, systems, acts, etc., and came to his ruling, which is great because it not only deals with me, but it assists the city going forward. Because situations like this, next time when they happen, they will not create confusion in anybody. But then when you look at the political part of it, if really the acting city manager he believed and he knew that he was the right one to do this, and even the DA who's supporting him to take this court action. Why is it day 13 and he hasn't called a council meeting? Even yesterday he got the ruling. Today it's end of business. Why hasn't he issued a notice for council meeting? I'll tell you where the politics are, and this is why our constitution is very, very clear. One of the constitutional principles is that public service must be non-partisan, and there must be separation of those powers. You see, when you've got administration that is dictated to, instructed to by a dominant party, this is what happens. Because DA is still ensuring that all the councillors that voted against the Gama and would potentially vote against the mayor must be removed, we must be fired, we must be called all sorts of names in the database, in the social media, our names must be defamed, etc., for doing what we did. That's what's happening now. And so they are replacing the councillors. When they are satisfied that they have replaced the councillors, they've got the numbers, I promise you we will sit end of September in council.
Well, the executive mayor, Mpho Latse, holding a press conference saying that they're not stalling, that they have the numbers, at least 139 in a 270 council. They would need 136, which is 50% plus one. They're saying they have the numbers, so they're not stalling. Let me ask you about a video that I saw on Twitter in which you are saying that the ANC will come to power through the front door. What is the context?
Yes.
What is the context of that video?
And thank you for asking. And the context is exactly what I explained earlier. To say this notion of saying we are bringing the ANC through the back door, the ANC is using the minorities, etc., needs to stop. If the ANC comes today with a coalition agreement that they want to enter with minorities, and it talks to our constituencies, it's constitutionally right, it talks to my party mandate and my regional structure accepted, they will not come through the back door. We will democratically elect them the same way we democratically elected the DA and Action SA and that multi-party coalition into power. So we're not apologizing about that, because the multi-party coalition, if it doesn't change its attitude, if it doesn't reorganize its power sharing balance, how we make decisions, truly it will not succeed, in my opinion. It is on the way to collapse. Perhaps they have the numbers, and if they're confident they have the numbers. All we're asking is that the court has given you the power, issue the notice for the meeting. That's it. I mean, I'm out of it. I don't want to be an acting speaker. I'm not supposed to be an acting speaker. I'm happy with that. And if indeed the ANC puts what we want, or EFF or any party puts what we want in front of them, even Action SA, if they want to, they can lead a coalition. We will vote with them.
If I was to wave a wand and make you leader of COPE, would you remove your party from that coalition agreement?
It will not be a knee-jerk reaction to say, of course, there's a vote of no confidence against me now. I'm sure we'll get into that. What I have explained to you, it will be reason that I still go through, because it's not my decision alone. I'm a councillor who reports to a region. We'll have to look into that agreement and try and negotiate to say, does it still fulfill our needs? Do we really feel that we are part of a coalition, or we are just being used as cheap votes, black votes, instructed to do this, do that, to keep a few in power and in positions and to achieve somebody's political agenda? Do we feel that I'm able, as a councillor, through this coalition, to serve the residents of the city of Joburg and the electorate that put me in power? At this stage, my answer is no.
No, you would want to remove.
My answer is no, that I'm not able to achieve what the regional mandate is for me. I'm not able to serve the citizens of Joburg and the constituencies that elected me into power. I'm not able to achieve any of those through this coalition that I've been put into, because I'm not part of any decision making, really. You know, I'm just a number that must vote, and if I don't vote, I must be removed out of council. I mean, instructions went as far as we don't want Makhubele in council. I mean, somebody in Cape Town cannot give that instruction. I'm democratically elected by people in Joburg. They want me in council. How does she not want me in council?
Councillor, the mayor mentioned the fact that they, as a council, have lost confidence in you as chair of chairs, and The consequence of that being that you are likely to face a motion of no confidence yourself. Is that your understanding? And do you think that that motion would pass? What's your future in council?
It's not in council. Let me correct that. It's the mayor. Of course, I guess it comes from the multi-party coalition, or whether DA multi-party. I don't know who's lodging that motion of no confidence. It's not council. So it needs to come to council, and council will vote on it. The same way as the mayor's motion of no confidence. It's lodged by a party and it comes to council and council votes on it. Of course, it's a knee-jerk reaction. I was expecting it, and if indeed they didn't have confidence in me, why didn't they raise it before? I know for them it's about power, position, and really showing me that they can and retaliating, etc. But what we are doing has nothing to do with them. It has to do with what we believe in and what we believe it will work for those that voted us in power.
Well, I think to read, but no, it's not even reading between the lines. They said they no longer trust you and that they've lost confidence in you. Is the relationship irretrievably broken between yourself and your coalition partners? And I need to be careful here because it's not necessarily COPE and the coalition partners, but yourself within this arrangement in council. Has that relationship completely died a natural death?
As far as I'm concerned, there was never really a relationship. I related to them professionally on the basis of we're in a coalition. I don't have a trust friend-to-friend relationship like what they want to claim. Like I said to you before, this is not unique what has happened. But what is unique is that it's starting to hit where it hurts the most. It started to hit on their positions, it's starting to hit on their power base, and even the other coalition members. Remember, when the mayor is removed, MMCs are gone. So this is about protecting their own interests. Everybody now is looking out for themselves. And I have become a natural target because, of course, I've been outspoken on the matter. And the easy target to blame is Colleen. But really, the coalition itself is in tatters. And you can hear when members of the coalition party, whether you listen to the PA, you listen to the Action SA, you hear the same message of people being in tatters. But because there's this economic interdependence where people now are protecting their positions, above the principle and what we know is truly the breakdown of the coalition. That's what's causing this. I'm the easy target. I take that. And if they vote me out, that's fine. Life carries on. People have been voted out before, voted in. It's part of the council game. If I'm not meeting your needs, you will not like me the day. There's no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. That's what it is in politics.
So just to confirm, you, as Colleen Makhubele, have previously voted against this coalition. This is not the first time that you have voted against an
Numerous
aspect.
Times. Yes, even including the acting speaker thing, other decisions that went into council, I made it clear I'm not voting with them. So that's why I'm saying this is not unique. It has been personalized to me right now, naturally, as I said, because of the position that I have taken to be vocal about what I think. I'm not losing sleep about it, and I didn't do anything wrong. Like I said to you, if that motion of Dagama was to come again today, I will still do the same thing that I have done. I will not do anything different. And if that upsets them and they think that makes them lose trust and confidence in me, so be it. And we'll meet again when we want to do another coalition.
Speaking of coalitions, this is taking a step back from the city of Joburg and looking at 2024 nationally. The political future of South Africa, it depends who you listen to and what you read, but no one political party is likely to get a majority in 2024. Coalitions are quite likely the future political landscape of the country. Do our political parties not play well together? Are we immature from a democratic coalition point of view? Do you see more of this contestation happening? Is this just the natural way of things? And how do you feel about 2024?
Well, let me start here. I think the issue here, and we'll take lessons from this particular coalition and why it's breaking down and it could affect 2024, is because it's a forced coalition. These are opponents, that really don't have a common vision. We don't have a common manifesto as a coalition that we're working on. It's just different parties that agree to give each other positions and power. And within that, everybody's doing their own thing. to fulfill their needs and their political needs. So there is no values that are tying us together. And hence you see it when an instruction will come from here, from there. If you don't obey it, you're out, etc. So a coalition, I think it will work. And I've seen it. We had the Government of National Unity. Of course, it had its own issues. It was led by Utata Mandela. But there was power sharing. He had 2 deputy presidents. He had other ministers even from other smaller parties. And, people felt they were part of what was happening, a common vision. So where I feel in Joburg in particular, the mayor has failed to give a common vision that we can all rally behind and feel we are part of and understand our contribution to it and valued members to it. You feel used. You are a number that must be used to keep those that needs to be economically empowered and in power. So that kind of a coalition will not work. Future, I'll give you an example. Remember, EFF was saying, I'll never work with ANC. It was a hula baloo, etc. That's how the multi-party coalition was born. Now EFF and ANC seems to have kissed and made up. Now they are ready to work together. So that's why I said, truly, it's interests at that time in point. And this is where we make the mistake, And I think coming to 2024, it's going to be interesting. My prayer is that the minority parties build up and get more seats so that we're able to balance the power, because the issue becomes when one party feels more entitled than everybody else, because perhaps their number of votes are higher. And in that, they want to dominate all the key strategic positions. They want to take the dominant role in making decisions. They want to dictate to other parties, etc. But once the maturity is there to understand that all of us, truly, we need each other to make this thing work. And how best can we sit down with respect to everybody around the table, knowing that without your 1-seat vote, I'm not a mayor. Without your 10 seats there, I cannot be an MMC, I cannot be a speaker. How do we make that work, And learning from the Government of National Unity as well, there was a thing of a substantive majority, which they had to do away with. Remember, if, like now we have it as an example, if actually SA and DA agree and all of us don't agree, as long as they've got the numbers, they will go for it. But if Action SA disagrees with DA on a matter, the thing will stop. For weeks, we'll debate on it. We become fans. We become, just by the way, accompany us to this thing to make sure that we stay there. And that is what I think the maturity of coalition needs to come to say it's not just about substantive majority. It has to be about common vision, number one, joint decision making, irrespective of how many seats or numbers you have. That respect of understanding that I add value, even though you brought 40 seats, you can't govern without my 2 seats. And therefore, give me space as well to be able to accomplish what I need to accomplish for my constituency, for those that elected me into power, and for my party.
Politics not for the faint of heart. Councillor Colleen Makhubele, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate your time. Thank you.